The shortcut Kenta hated walking alone at night, but the last train had come and gone. He had stayed too late at his friend's house playing video games. Now it was nearly midnight. Instead of taking the long, well-lit way home, he took the shortcut through the train underpass, a narrow, shadowed tunnel beside the station. The kind where sound echoed too much and the lights flickered like they were breathing. He pulled his jacket tighter, wishing he hadn't ditched his date with Hannah for one more game. Now he had to trudge home alone in the dark, his footsteps the only sound in the oppressive quiet. Just as he reached the mouth of the tunnel, a noise made him jump. A low, long whistle, like the sound a train makes when it's about to depart, but there wasn't a train. Then another sound, footsteps, heavy footsteps coming closer. Ken turned to run, but tripped on the uneven ground and fell. Scrambling to his feet, he ran into the tunnel, the footsteps close behind him. Adrenaline surged through his veins, making his heart pound in his chest. The tunnel was pitch black, the flickering light from the mouth now gone. Only the sound of his own ragged breathing filled his ears. Then he saw it. A faint glow in the distance, a light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Hope surged through him. Maybe if he could reach that light, he could escape the darkness. Suddenly, a hand clamped over his mouth, stifling his scream. Kenta thrashed wildly, trying to free himself from the grip that tightened around his neck, but it was no use. His struggle only made the grip tighten, and then everything went black. When Kenta woke up, he was lying on the ground, gasping for breath. The sky was the color of old bruises, and the air hung heavy with the smell of rain. He was alone. The dream, if that's what it was, had been so real. The terror, the smell of the tunnel, the feel of the damp earth beneath him. But there was something else, something he couldn't quite place. A sense of wrongness that clung to him like a shroud. Shaking his head, he got to his feet and started walking. He had a long day tomorrow. He could rest then. For now, he needed to get home. As he walked, the events of the previous night came back to him in flashes. The fight with his father, the call from Hana, the walk to his friend's house, the game, the date he forgot, and then the shortcut, the train tunnel. Suddenly, it all made sense. The dream wasn't a dream. It was a memory. But how? Why did he remember it now? What had happened to him in that tunnel? And who had attacked him? The questions echoed in his mind as he walked, unanswered, but one thing was clear. Kenta knew he had to find out the truth. Halfway through the underpass, he heard it. Teek, teek. Soft, almost rhythmic. Like something dragging itself against concrete. Kenta stopped. He looked behind him. Nothing. Then ahead. And that's when he saw it. A man slumped against the wall, knees pulled up to his chest, shoulders shaking. Kenta called out, "Hey, are you okay?" The man looked up, startled, and then he started to speak. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. It's just that I haven't seen another soul since I've been down here. I thought maybe you could help me." "Help you with what?" The man hesitated. "With getting out of here. Look, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but you're really the last person I want to see right now." "Oh, is that so? Why is that?" The man sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "Look, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm being chased. By what? By whom?" The man looked at his feet. "I don't know. I just know I have to get away from them. They'll stop at nothing to find me." Kenta stared at him for a moment, trying to decide if he should call the cops or not. This guy was clearly unhinged, talking about being chased by people who would stop at nothing to find him. Yeah, that sounded like a police matter if Kenta had been anyone else, but he was a former Yakuza member. He knew all too well how much danger a simple wrong turn could put him in. "All right, help me," the man said, looking desperate. "Take me with you when you leave this tunnel, please." Kenta looked at him for a moment longer, then nodded. "All right, let's go." The man scrambled to his feet and brushed himself off. "Thanks, man. I owe you." He started walking toward the exit of the underpass, then turned back to Kenta with a worried look on his face. Wait, you're not coming? Kenta shook his head. I gotta take the long way around. See you later. The man nodded, then disappeared into the light. As soon as Kenta was out of sight, the man pulled out a phone and punched in a series of numbers. Yo, it's me. I found him. He's heading north. I repeat, he's heading north. The voice on the other end of the line was low and dangerous. Good. Let's bring him back home. The flickering light at the far end of the tunnel revealed a horrifying sight. A woman, no legs. Her torso rested on the cold concrete, her elbows bent at sharp angles. Her fingernails were worn to the bone as she scraped the ground with them, pulling herself forward. Teke Teke, she whispered, her voice hoarse and dry like the rustle of autumn leaves. Her hair hung over her face, hiding her features from view, but every so often a gust of wind would whip it aside, revealing the cruel smile painted on her pale face. Kenta couldn't help but shiver. He took a step back, instinctively reaching for the weapon at his side, but he hesitated. He didn't want to scare her off. Not this close to the exit. She continued to crawl, her eyes fixed on the opening of the tunnel. Kenta watched, mesmerized as she slowly disappeared from view. Then he heard it, the sound of heavy footsteps echoing through the tunnel, quickly approaching. Adrenaline surged through him. What had she crawled out of the way? To avoid being seen? Had someone been chasing her? Was that why she had no legs? He didn't wait to find out. He turned and fled, racing away from the tunnel as fast as his legs could carry him. Behind him, he heard a scream, a strangled cry that tore through the night, sending shivers down his spine. He didn't dare look back. He kept running until he reached the safety of his home, collapsing on his front porch, gasping for breath. When he finally dared to turn around, it was to check his phone for messages. Nothing. Of course, there was nothing. What had he expected? For her to text him? To tell him what had happened? Why she had no legs? Why she had been in that tunnel? He returned to the tunnel the next day, hoping to find answers, but all he found was a discarded school uniform, blood-stained and shredded. The sight of it sent a fresh wave of goosebumps across his skin. He carefully picked it up, examining it closely. It was a girl's uniform, but which school? He couldn't tell. The closer he looked, the more details he noticed, like the muddy handprints on the skirt or the grass stain on the blouse. As he turned to leave, he noticed something else, a small, intricately carved wooden box hidden beneath the uniform. He carefully brushed away the dirt, revealing a beautifully crafted wooden box with an ornate design. Curiosity overcame him. He opened it, revealing a collection of old photographs, letters, and a diary. He felt a sudden surge of excitement. This could be his big break, the story that would make him famous. But as he delved deeper into the mystery, he uncovered a dark secret that threatened to consume him. This is the 4th installment of our serialized horror story. If you haven't seen the first 3, then go back and watch those first. This story is told in 3 parts, and this is the 4th scene. Scene 4, Run. Kenta turned and ran harder than he ever had in his life. But behind him, Teke Teke Teke, faster. Closer, louder. He passed the old vending machine, the fence. The alley. Still Teke Teke Teke, even louder. He looked back and saw her crawling at unnatural speed, arms snapping forward like a spider, face contorted in hunger. He stumbled, falling to his knees in the mud, scraped his palms, bruised his ribs. But he didn't care. He just kept running, crawling. The monster was almost upon him. He could feel her hot, fetid breath on his neck. He could hear the tearing of flesh as she consumed those unfortunate enough to be caught in her grasp. And when he saw it, a small opening between the buildings, a gap in the fence. He crawled through, scraping and bruising himself further, ignoring the pain. He didn't dare look back, but he could hear her. She was close, too close. He burst out into the street, the monster hot on his heels. Cars honked, people screamed. They scattered as the monster advanced, crashing through the flimsy barriers that had contained her. She lunged. A woman screamed as she reached out, her fingers grazing the monster's arm. It recoiled, screeching as if in pain. Kenta didn't stop. He didn't dare stop. He could hear the creature thrashing about, clawing and biting at the people who tried to hold it back. Their screams echoed in his ears, fueling his desperate flight. He didn't know where he was going, but he had to get away. He had to get help. He stumbled, falling to his hands and knees, gasping for breath. The monster was almost upon him. He could feel its hot, fetid breath on his neck. He could hear the tearing of flesh as it consumed those unfortunate enough to be caught in its grasp. And then he saw it, a small opening between the buildings, a gap in the fence. He crawled through, scraping and bruising himself further, ignoring the pain. He didn't dare look back. But he could hear her. She was close, too close. He burst out into the street, the monster hot on his heels. Cars honked, people screamed. They scattered as the monster advanced, crashing through the flimsy barriers that had contained her. She lunged. A woman screamed as she reached out, her fingers grazing the monster's arm. It recoiled, screeching as if in pain. Kenta didn't stop. He didn't dare stop. He could hear the creature thrashing about, clawing and biting at the people who tried to hold it back. Their screams echoed in his ears, fueling his desperate flight. He collapsed, sliding down the wall, his back hitting the cold, hard concrete. The monster was upon him, its hot, fetid breath on his neck, its sharp teeth tearing at his clothes. He screamed, scrambling back, but there was nowhere to go. This is the end of part 3, to be continued next week with part 4. He dove behind the overpass wall and held his breath. Silence, then footsteps. He peeked out. Nothing. He began to breathe again, shaking. Then, "Do you have them?" She was right above him, crawling up the side of the overpass like an insect. He screamed. She dropped. "There you are." She landed on her feet, brushing concrete dust off her clothes. Her eyes, though, were filled with the dust of the setting sun, beautiful and terrifying. He scrambled back, pressing himself against the cold, damp wall. The overpass was a narrow one, barely wide enough for 2 people to walk side by side. On either side, the concrete tapered into a sheer drop. Below, the highway roared like a hungry beast, a constant stream of taillights and angry drivers. Above, the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky in hues of burnt umber and bruised purple. She tilted her head, regarding him with an unnerving smile. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice as sharp as shards of glass. He shook his head, too terrified to speak. He couldn't explain that he'd been running for his life, that the very ground beneath his feet had been out to get him. How do you convince someone that the world is ending and you are the only one who can see it? She took a step closer, and he flinched, pressing himself against the wall, his back scraping painfully against the rough concrete. He closed his eyes, bracing for the end. But instead of the searing pain of metal on bone, he felt something wet and warm trickle down his arm. He opened his eyes to find a single white rose dangling from his hand, its petals slick with moisture. Startled, he looked up at her. She was gone. The rose fell, dropping into the abyss below. He watched it for a moment, then turned back to the road, his heart pounding in his chest. Had she come to kill him or save him? He didn't know. And in this crumbling world, where the very fabric of reality was tearing at the seams, he realized he might not be able to tell the difference. As the last rays of sunlight faded from the sky, he made a decision. He would find her. He had to. Because in the end, maybe she was his only hope. His only chance at survival. Maybe she was the reason the world hadn't ended yet. With newfound determination, he began to climb out from his hiding place, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. He didn't know where she had gone, but he had to start somewhere. So he started walking, taking small steps at first, then faster ones, his pace quickening until he was running, desperate, hoping to catch a glimpse of her, to hear the sound of her voice, to feel the warmth of her hand in his. He ran until his lungs burned and his legs screamed for mercy, but he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. Not when the fate of the world hung in the balance. Not when the girl with the sunset in her eyes was out there somewhere, waiting for him. It's morning now, and a group of commuters have gathered near the tracks. There's an ambulance here. We can see some police tape. People are whispering. They don't want to be too loud, I guess, because they're talking about last night. Cut in half, someone murmured, just like the others. She was cut in half right here. The body was found right here near the tunnel entrance. And over here, someone has scratched a message into the concrete wall. If she asks you a question, don't answer. What does that mean? Well, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning of the case. Last we see our victim alive, she's getting off work. It's late at night and she's working a night shift at the local convenience store. As she's getting off work, she's putting her things into her bag. Two men walk past the store. One of them is holding a baseball bat. Another man, we can't see his face, but he's got a hood up. You know, it's kind of strange these two would walk past the store at this time of night, but maybe they live nearby. Maybe they're just walking home, but they turn around. They look like they're gonna walk back into the store. Did they forget something? Perhaps. Or maybe they never intended to leave. Maybe they were planning something. Our victim walks on, oblivious to the danger behind her. The men run up on her and grab her. She doesn't see it coming. She doesn't know what's about to happen. She screams. That must have been terrifying for her, knowing that she's being hunted, not knowing why. One of the men holds her down while the other one strikes her with the baseball bat. Again and again, he strikes her. She cries out, but no one's coming to help. No one's ever coming to help. He keeps hitting her until she's dead. Then they drag her down to the tracks. And here's where the tracks are. Here's where the train came and cut her in half. But there's more to come. The men stand on either side of the tracks and they watch as the train approaches. When the train goes by, it's not fast enough. It doesn't kill her. So they run over to her and they do the job that the train couldn't do. They cut her in half. They cut her up into pieces. Now, the next morning, people are coming to work. They see the remains, but they don't know what happened here. Someone's left a message for them. If she asks you a question, don't answer. Who is she? What happened here? Why were her remains left strewn across these train tracks? Well, it's up to you to decide. How do you think she died? Who do you think did it? What do you think the message means? Let me know in the comments. They say the Teke Teke still drags herself near lonely train stations. And if you hear scraping, if you hear Teke Teke, don't stop, don't answer. Don't look back, or she'll make you just like her. The old woman smiled sadly and shook her head. She watched the young lovers holding hands, walking away from the station. Ah, young love. It reminds me of when I was your age. I had just met my darling in a small village in France. We were so in love. Soon we were inseparable. We would walk hand in hand through the lavender fields as the sun set over the horizon. Those were truly happy times. But then one day, poof, just like that, he was gone. One moment we were together, the next he was taken by the gaki. The gaki? What did they take him? Why did they take him? I cried out, falling to my knees. The old woman placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. I know what you're thinking. You want revenge, don't you? You want to make a deal with the devil to get him back. Stop it. Don't do it. I begged. I know it sounds easy. All you have to do is walk into the forest at midnight and call his name 3 times and I will come running back to you. But it comes at a price, a terrible price. I made a deal with the devil I traded my soul for my lover, S, and now I am cursed to wander the earth for eternity, doomed to walk the earth as a vengeful spirit forever alone. The old woman's eyes flashed with anger. You see, there are some things even an old woman like me can't forgive. Like what? Like when people make deals with the devil and bring nothing but misery upon themselves. You want to know what happens to those who call the Gaki? Their loved ones return, yes, but only as empty vessels. Their souls are gone, replaced by a cold, soulless darkness. And then they try to take you with them. The old woman's voice echoed with pain. Oh, please, please don't do this. Don't bring them back. Let them rest in peace. Then she'll be free of this world, free of the pain, free of the misery. She won't have to drag herself along the tracks anymore. And with that, the vision in the train station vanished, leaving only the old woman and the dying embers of the fire. The old woman sighed, her eyes filled with sadness. So please, if you hear scraping on the train tracks, if you hear teek, teek, don't stop, don't answer, don't look back. Or she'll make you just like her,